presented by DoorDash.
Good evening. Welcome to San Francisco and ABC's coverage of Game 2 of the NBA Finals. We are outside the Chase Center. The fans are here. They are ready, and candidly, they are nervous, and perhaps for good reason. Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, Jalen Rose, I'm Mike Greenberg. Our opening tip tonight, a thriller on Thursday night with a finish that no one could have seen coming. After trailing by 12, entering the fourth, the Celtics hit 9 threes on their way to outscoring Golden State by 24 in the final frame, and they steal Game 1. It was the largest fourth-quarter points differential in a finals game ever. On the Warriors side, it's one of the worst fourth quarters they've ever played under Steve Kerr, regular season or playoffs. It was their worst points differential in any fourth quarter under Kerr, and the 9 threes, the most they've allowed by Golden State in the last 7 years in a fourth quarter. So the stage is set. Stephen A. Smith, is it reasonable to say tonight is an absolute must-win for the Warriors?
Without question, I think it's absolutely fair to say that. You're the Golden State Warriors. You have to win this game. You cannot go down 0-2 because I don't believe anybody on the planet believes that the Golden State Warriors or anybody else is going to beat this Celtics team in a best, 4 games over a 5-game stretch. And that's exactly what the scenario is if you lose this game. You go down 0-2, you got to win 4 of the next 5. And I damn sure don't believe that's something that's going to happen.
I agree with most of that. I'm going to stop just short of saying we've seen too many situations where teams are down 0-2. We just saw this with Phoenix last year. Okay, so we've seen that. We've seen teams be down 3-1. We saw that in the bubble and subsequently. Sure. The Utah Jazz team, they're going to be broken up because they gave up a 3-1 lead. So I'm not going to say it's a need to win. Must, no.
Last year, the Suns won the first 2 games of the finals, to your point, but those were at home. The Warriors would be dropping the first 2 in their own building. Jalen.
Yeah, that was my point that I was going to make to you, Legend, is we've seen teams come back from 0-2, but not after losing the first 2 at home in particular. And for the Golden State Warriors, they're going to need this crowd to be energized today. And because it didn't resemble Oracle in Game 1. It did not. And the team didn't feed off of it. And I agree with Stephen A. Nobody's beating these Boston Celtics 4 out of 5.
So then let's figure out who they need to be big tonight. We'll go straight down the line. Jalen, I'll start with you. We know they'll have Steph. Who else needs to step up huge tonight for the Warriors?
I'm going Draymond Green. Offensively, he struggled. No problem for him scoring 4 points. But when he takes 12 shots and he misses 4 threes, that means he was open for it. So he has to play well offensively. But defensively also, Al Horford had his way at the 3-line, on the baseline, rebounding the basketball. The bigs up front for the Golden State Warriors for the Boston Celtics dominated the Warriors. So it has to be Draymond Green.
Steve Kerr. I mean, he's going to have some adjusting. We know Steve Kerr can do this in his sleep. He's going to have to actually do it tonight. So if they're going to switch everything like the Warriors do, you can't let Steph Curry be on Jason Tatum that many possessions. The other night, it was great hearing Jalen and Magic talk about old school basketball and what would have been done in that situation. Well, if they go to this a second straight night, you can better believe that the Celtics are going to torch that. And that's not the only thing. The minute distribution for Wiggins. What is he going to do? Wiggins gave him a terrific game the other night, played 35 minutes. What about how you distribute Steph Curry's minutes? So I think there's some subtle things, but there's some big things, too, that Steve Kerr's going to have to manage tonight.
By the way, no Andre Iguodala tonight for Golden State. Stephen A., who are you watching?
My priorities are different than theirs. I'm thinking Jordan Poole. Whenever he's defending a Celtic, they shot like 7 of 13 from the field, 5 of 8 from three-point range. But that is not the issue. We point to the fact that there was a 30-point difference. They had a 15-point lead in the third quarter and a 15-point in the fourth quarter. Well, guess what? That doesn't happen if you know how to score. And the last time I checked, Steph Curry was doing his job, even though he was neutralized in the last 3 quarters with just 13 points. Klay Thompson had a relatively pedestrian performance. I told y'all coming into this finals that 2 of the 3 had to step up. Steph gave you 34 in total. Jordan Poole was 7 points, 2 of 7 shooting, or 9 points, 2 of 7, 2 of 7, 2. Unacceptable. He's got to do better than that. He's got to be a weapon offensively if the Golden State Warriors are going to win this series.
Perhaps a further concern for the Warriors. They lose Game 1, and Jason Tatum had the worst shooting night of his entire postseason career. Jason Tatum just 3 of 17 from the floor and has won anyway. We are counting it down to Game 2 of the NBA Finals from San Francisco.
Number 30 in your program is about to play the 30th NBA Finals game of his Hall of Fame career. Steph Curry coming off the 8th 30-point game of this postseason, but it was not enough in Game 1. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Tatum, I don't know, is that better? Is that worse than what we saw before Game 1?
I actually like that one.
I like that too.
An executive today.
It's
Getting off that,
it's a little less
private
out
jet.
there, that's for sure.
No, I like that one.
Welcome into Chase Center. It's game time at the finals presented by YouTube TV. Great to have you with us. That's Shaquille O'Neal, who 20 years ago today was playing Game 1 of the 2002 NBA Finals. About to wrap up a three-peat with the LA Lakers. Good to have you with us.
Before we talk about that, Smitty always talked about the series before that where he says, I fouled him. I did not foul him, America. Wasn't a foul.
It's hot water, you know this.
Steve Smith, Brad Hill, I'm Matt Weiner. Good to have you with us. What a stunning result it was in Game 2. We've had a couple of days to think about it. In a lot of ways, it still doesn't make a lot of sense what we saw. The Warriors had their great third quarter in a wild Game 1 Celtics win. Steph Curry got off to an incredible start in that one. The highest scoring finals quarter since Michael Jordan in '93 with his 21-point burst, including 6 threes, but managed just 13 points the rest of the way. The Celtics first-team All-NBA star Jason Tatum had the worst shooting night of his postseason career, just 3 of 17, but showed off his growth with a career-high 13 assists. But of course, the game turned in the fourth with the Celtics knocking down 9 threes. Al Horford had a career-high 6 in his finals debut as the C's snatched Game 1. Turned out it was the most lopsided quarter in finals history, with Boston outscoring the Dubs by 24 to become the first team in finals history to trail by 10+ through 3 and wind up winning by double digits, setting up a virtual must-win for the home team here tonight.
After the game, Draymond and to a degree Steph talk about the game as an anomaly. I wonder, are you at all concerned that it might not be the right mental attitude?
No. I mean, Draymond and Steph have been in the finals 6 times now. They've seen it all. They've seen everything. They've won championships. They've had their heart broken. This is all part of it, and so that's the right mental approach. And that's one that's born out of experience.
I think we just have to play with more force on the defensive end. I think, there were times in the game where they didn't feel us. And when you're playing against a great team at this level, at this point in the season, they have to feel you every possession. And then once you allow them to get a rhythm, due to them not feeling our pressure, then it's tough to stop.
They're the hunted. We're the hunters right now. We're trying to get to their level and get to where they're at. So for me, I'm just out. I'm stealthed. I'm waiting for my time to strike and my opportunity.
I've had some bad shooting nights in the NBA, right? So it's like I've been here before. I know what to do next game. I think a lot of it is mental. You don't, let it creep into your mind. I can't do nothing about what happened last game. I missed those shots, and it is what it is. It's all about how to prepare and get ready for the next one.
We all know Ime as the player, but I think we kind of start to remember him more as the coach. He's a sponge. Every place he went, if it was a player or coach, he soaked it all in, put it into his game, and then brought it over here to us. But I definitely think that the way that he plays and the way that he coaches is the exact same.
I'm happy that we have him as a coach. He's a much better coach than he was a basketball player. And I think he knows that as well.
I think that's a compliment. We want to know what you think about Game 2, despite the fact that you, like most everyone else, were largely wrong about Game 1. Who could have seen that coming? Grant, road teams that take Game 1, NBA history, are just 8-9, believe it or not, in terms of the series result. But teams that go up 2-0, 31-5 in finals history. This is a must-win, more or less, for the Golden State Warriors. So what must happen to get that must-win?
Well, there's some good things that happen. I agree with Draymond Green. There's no reason to be overly alarmed here if you're Golden State. I think what was alarming was they were in control and then sort of how they lost.